about things a little. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fittest. I'm so thankful and super excited that Sarah Ford Bishop is here with me today, and we're going to be talking about the contenders for the Olympia with women's bodybuilding and women's bikini today. Kind of a last minute thing because I just wanted to make sure that I covered all the athletes, and I didn't really plan and prepare very well for this. So here we are approaching Olympia weekend. And we just wanted to give some airtime to those two categories because they're amazing. And here we are at opposite ends of the spectrum. The smallest girls with the biggest girls, but this will be good. So Sarah, you and I were just talking about how many athletes are going to be competing this weekend, and go ahead and speak on that if you want to.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. So I was just reviewing because you sent me the list for bikini and women's bodybuilding. Bikini is over 50, or it's 50. It's definitely 50 at least, and potentially a little bit over that. So it's just, to me, it's like, that's wild. Like, one, it's like, it's cool that, so many people get to, compete and like have that time. But at the same time, I also wonder, how do you judge 50 people evenly? Like, and get, like, remember, like, you know what I mean? So there's an element of that. And then also it almost, like, to me, takes away the prestige a little bit, having so many competitors. That said, like, on the flip side, again, like, it's the Olympia, like, they won the shows, like, everyone deserves, that opportunity. But I'm almost curious next year if they decided to have less shows, or how they're going to do that, or adjust the point system. Who knows?
Well, so two things I want to say about that. One, and this was something that Whitney had brought up on the last episode, was that the qualification time was longer this year because the Olympia was pushed back to December instead of in September.
True.
So next year we'll have less of a qualification window for people. So there should be less qualifiers. The other thing I was going to say was, it kind of reminds me of the first time I went to junior nationals, and the bikini competitors are like hundreds. Like, there was like 400 bikini competitors in all the classes. And I remember thinking that too, like, it comes down to like just all these little things you're looking at, like that don't, like, they're not about what you judge somebody on. And it was more like, you notice more if somebody's breast implants don't look quite right, or like their makeup, or their, you know what I mean? Like,
well, the stage presence. And I was talking to somebody last night about that, with having 50 athletes and a lot of them being new to the Olympia, like, kind of, rookies, even just as a whole. That stage presence, like, it really makes a difference, like, what that first step on stage. And some of these girls, like, like Janet, for example, comes to mind, like, just is boom, wow, like, I'm here, is like the vibe you get when she steps on stage. And somebody that's newer might have that, but then they also, I mean, I would be like so nervous, but they may not have that same wow, that same impact factor on that first step, and that could impact their placing, which that is part of the sport is presentation and posing. So it does matter, and everything matters.
Yeah, it plays a huge role. I'm wondering, I don't know this at all, this is just me wondering, if the judges ever look at the list of girls and decide to check them out on social media so that they can get a glimpse beforehand.
I don't think so, but that's interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, because I feel like I would want to do that, because if I thought, oh, there's 50 competitors, and I would think, oh, I know who the top 10 or 15 are, but that means there's 35 other ones that I've probably, maybe only seen when they won their show or whatever it was. So, well, and there's that too. There's the the winnings over the year that qualified them. That it's not like they've never been seen before.
Right. They've seen them, and there is, a big panel of judges, and I know they all get a look. It's just, I think it just goes to show like your stage presence and your posing and that impact factor is gonna matter that much more, just having that many, other women that you need to stand out against.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think honestly, bikini is the one that I'm most curious about, just because there are so many. And I, like I said, what I remember from junior nationals was everybody just started to look the same. Like you see, you're like, wow, great glutes. Wow, great glutes. Wow. You know what I mean? It's just like, unless you look bad, you look great. So yeah, it'll be interesting, and to see like kind of what they set the bar for everything as well. That's what I'm really curious about also.
I'm very curious for bikini because I feel like a lot of the top girls, like Jen, for example, who, won last year, she looks like she's bigger and harder to me, at least on like her Instagram and like, what I checked her out on YouTube, which it'll be interesting because, and this is every division. I think, you and Whitney talked about this on, the other podcast. It's like, it's leveling up and getting bigger in every division. So it's like, where is the line? But then if they do decide to go, with that standard that is, bigger and harder, then, the top girls are all going to have that similar look, you would think. So if someone like, for example, like Janet, if she didn't, make the improvements that, the others did, she may get knocked out, of that top, 5 spot or top 6 spot. So
yeah. Yep. And if somebody is like, if Jen is really hard, but the other girls aren't, like, it'll be curious. I'm curious if they'll just think, well, this is just too much of an outlier. Like we need to have continuity with
or Laura Lee, I know, for example, has been critiqued before for the size of her glutes being too big, too overpowering. So did she, in an effort to bring up other, body parts or come in harder, like, is she going to look too big? So there is like, so many, things to consider. So it was like, I was kind of like looking through this, like my top 5, I'm like top 6. I'm like, I don't really have an order here. Like, I think Jen is still going to win. I think she's going to be a repeat. But it's hard. And then thinking about like that top 15, top 10, like I have some here, but it's like, oh my God, there's 50 girls. I might have forgot somebody.
Well, I'm curious who your favorite is, like regardless of who you think is going to win, because that could be like 2 different answers. I also want to mention, I know I've said this before in podcasts past, like I went to the Olympia in 2015, and I remember I want to talk about the women's bodybuilding first. I want to say first, I don't know, I follow women's bodybuilding more so in the last couple of years because they have really, I think, improved women's bodybuilding. It was very much like a category that maybe was not as appealing to a lot of people. And I think that with Andrea Shaw being the Miss Olympia right now, she's beautiful, she's graceful, she's put together very, very well. And they really brought aesthetics back to bodybuilding. So with women's bodybuilding, and in 2015, I remember, so that was the last year I think that Iris Kyle won. But I remember seeing Margie, she goes by Marvelous Margie, step onto stage, and she was just absolutely incredible and graceful, like hourglass shape, like she totally had this X frame. And I just always loved her physique. So I'm going to go to her first. I know last year she placed second, and she will, I'm sure, be in the top 5. Now, again, we're looking at women that have a ton of mass, and also have to be extremely shredded. Like there's, Sarah, you know that the conditioning at this point is almost the same for every category. Like there are levels, but the level of conditioning is not something that the average person can achieve just by dieting, right?
No, yeah, this is all very, extreme low body fat, not sustainable.
Yes. Like it's absolutely intentional. And I mean, obviously you can see from
Look at that. Even like knowing like the video quality, like where she's at in real life versus video, it's like wild.
yes. She just looks absolutely incredible. And she's an attractive woman, and she always does makeup stuff. She's a goofball.
I love that.
I love Margie. Okay, so I want to go to our reigning champ, which is
Ms. Pretz is her
Ms.
MZ.
Yes. So Drea is actually from Michigan, which is kind of cool because we're, this little piddly Midwest state where bodybuilding isn't super predominant. But yes, Drea is gorgeous. She is a wonderful representative of the sport because she's just a sweet, amazing
Oh, it's
woman.
my gym.
Where?
Right there at the powerhouse. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Damn, sad I missed her.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's amazing. So always we'll take a picture, always we'll stop and talk. I actually did have her on the podcast before, and I think that will be a goal for next year to just have her back on and just talk a little bit more about women's bodybuilding to bring some awareness to that category as well. But she's always touring around doing like posing clinics and meet and greets and that type of thing. So
yeah, she's a good ambassador.
Absolutely. So, and just like I said, I think, I don't want to paint women's bodybuilding in a bad picture, but I know a lot of people are like concerned about the femininity, and I think they're rewarding the most feminine women for this category, just like, and here she is with Linda Murray as well, who is like 8 times Miss Olympia. So, and they,
yeah,
is also from Michigan, I believe. So here we are just representing all of the girls with mass.
yeah. And of course, like femininity is subjective, but it is, a subjective sport too. So I think, it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like somebody will still say like, oh, well, I wouldn't want to be that big. And I would say, well, you'll never get that big, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think they carry it beautifully. And
that's like another thing too, is like big, like I feel like the bigger the more muscle required, like some of the top athletes are, because there is like that muscle maturity factor.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I know like Drea had taken, like she was kind of into lifting, and then she took some time off, and she's, oh my gosh, I want to say that she's got to be 40 now, but won her first title at 38, and I wouldn't have even suspected that she was.
Oh wow.
I know she doesn't, I mean, she looks 30 if she looks a day.
Yeah. And we're looking at Michaela Aycock now. She's younger.
Yes, she is one of the youngest. Her ability to build muscle has just been it just catapulted. She started lifting, I think, when she was like 16 or something, and just surpassed all the categories. I don't even know if she started with like maybe figure, but was doing women's physique. They told her she was too big for women's physique. She actually came back to another show weeks later and did women's bodybuilding and placed like 5th or something like that. So what I love about Michaela is, well, one, I mean, just myself as a Christian, she's very open about her faith. And I think that's very cool. She's very passionate about that. And then secondly, if you want to learn how to train, this is the girl to follow, because again, regardless of how big you want to get, this is how you train in order to build muscle. And when you achieve the muscle mass that you want to have, you will stop. You know what I mean? Then you're in your maintenance. So
Yeah.
obviously you want to have that road be as, as short as possible. And like I said, she
And
go ahead, Sarah.
I was gonna say, and this is kind of where, like, back to the comment I mentioned earlier about, where's the line, like about, each division getting bigger and more muscular. I personally, if my feedback was to downsize, that would like break my heart. That would be so hard. So I love seeing like the bikini girls like training hard, because I think in the past, like, we've gotten a bad rap as like, oh, anybody can do it, or you didn't have to train as hard. And like, no, we don't have the muscle mass that women's physique or bodybuilding has, but like, that's hard-earned muscle. And I know a lot of these women like myself love training, and yeah, so it's a hard thing.
Well, and this was kind of the birth of wellness as well, because you had a lot of these girls who were trying to not build their legs while they're building their glutes. And that's a I mean, bikini training is very specific. And like you said, I do love that 10 years ago, bikini was like your girl on the beach who didn't have a whole lot of body fat, looked nice and lean and toned, the word that people use. And it was kind of like your everyday girl next door. And now it's absolutely a physique that has to be earned. You can't, you can't step on stage having not trained and come close to winning any type of a bodybuilding with bikini anymore. Some of these bikini girls too are like, I mean, they like, I always talk about Lorelai because she, she's like 130 pounds on stage, like with very low body fat. That's a lot of muscle. Like that's a lot of muscle. So anyways, I'm like talking about bikini as I've got Michaela up here, but anyways, and I just love her. She's a very sweet person. If you ever meet her, you get a chance to talk to her. That's something I will say about a lot of the women's bodybuilders, is that they are, they're nice. Like they're just really nice women. Okay. So Mela Ash, I don't know how she placed. I can't remember how she placed last year, but again, another woman who is very feminine, loves to do the whole, the lashes and everything else. She just is like, I just love dressing up. I love being a girl. She has like this amazing, her shape is phenomenal. She looks absolutely incredible. And again, all these girls look great on their own. It'll be very interesting to see them all stacked up next to.
Yeah, I love her. She has crazy ratios.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You can't like I said, even if like you said, it's subjective. Even if you think like, I wouldn't like to look like that, you still have to respect the athlete for their, what they've achieved. And her Instagram is fun because her pictures are beautiful. Like she does a lot of photo shoots, and she just looks absolutely incredible. There were two other, so one of the top 5 from last year is not competing, and I can't remember now what her name is, but I want to talk about Asha Hadley. I believe this is one of Shelby Stern's clients, who he's known for getting the girls super conditioned. Again, really great ratios. Yeah, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure if this is Shelby's Shelby's clients or not. A little bit thicker, but she again, we'll see how everyone fares. And then there was one more. Oh, Holly Trevino. She was second. And this is one of Shelby's clients as well. I believe she placed second last year. A lot of mass.
She did. I just double checked because I couldn't remember 2020 versus 21.
Yep. A lot of mass for sure. And again, like I said, it's curious. Second last year. 2 years ago, Margie was second. I think she was third last year.
Margie was third last year. I think it was Irene isn't competing this year, correct?
Very good.
Yes. Fifth last year.
And then who was fourth?
Mona.
Is it what is it? What's
Mona?
Mona. Yes. Right at the end.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the NBC News online right now.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, this is like a combo. Yeah, and if you're interested in women's bodybuilding, then follow Rising Phoenix and Winds of Strength. They specifically cover the women's bodybuilding category in their shows. Here is this her? Yep, and these are check-ins with Shelby. So yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job. Like I said, the category kind of fizzled in the last, like prior to 5 years ago, because the women were not looking with, we want this X frame. We're always looking at aesthetics when whatever the category is, and you're looking for a tight, tiny waist. And then everything else is just sort of proportionate to the category. So
yeah.
Yep. And then I think there was, I wanted to, just because I had her on the podcast, I want to pull up Teresa Ivansic. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. And she specifically told me, my spelling. Oh, here she is. Here we go. Again, Teresa is so pretty, and I know that she had kind of toggled back and forth between women's physique and women's bodybuilding, and we'll see how things pan out for her. Her lower half is always a little bit of a struggle, but
did she win Atlanta? What did she? Can't remember.
I can't remember either. I wonder if we have. There's got to be a like a qualification post, right? Like I won the show. No, I don't see. I don't know, Sarah, you could be right. But
so many shows. Well, women's bodybuilding, not as many at all.
Say it again.
Women's Michaela won Atlanta.
Okay. Oh yeah. So anyways, I mean, those are some of my favorites, and I know this podcast will also cover the winners afterwards, and I think that'll be a good place to start off the New Year's so that people know kind of who is setting the bar in each category. So anyways, all right, well, let's get to bikini. Sarah, where do you want to start?
Yeah, so I guess maybe start with maybe top from last year and who we're kind of thinking for this year.
Yeah, give me a name. We'll go to check out somebody first.
Well, let's start with Jennifer Dory, who won last year. She has not competed at all this year.
Because she doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to,
Yeah.
as the reigning champ. But yeah, if you look at that gym shot, so this was her last year, or maybe it's like a montage video.
This one?
But yeah, you can see like her, shoulders, like the striations there. So she is lean. And I don't remember ever seeing her this conditioned and big.
Yeah.
But again, like it's different pictures, it's different. I love like the look of like more muscle, more athletic. And also too, like, in the criteria for bikini, like it says like no striations as a part of the posing and like how you feel on show day, like that really makes a big difference. You can just like change, like for example, like how you flex or don't flex like in your back shot, and that hide those striations, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of this too, we know just from like John Jewett was kind of the paver of this, is that you want to come into a show that peak week being as lean as possible, because it's so much easier to fill out a little bit more and soften the look than it is to, I mean, you can't pull body fat off anymore that last week. Like it's just not going to happen. So however lean you are, you can only get a little bit softer from there, but you can't get leaner. There's no tricks to as much as people used to think that like maybe dehydrating yourself or something is going to make you leaner, that absolutely isn't the case. All it does is basically ruin your look because you lose the fullness in your muscles. So I don't know. That's just a nice little tip moving forward for anybody thinking that if they have to, start water depleting or something days out from their show, their coach is probably pretty old school. And there's
No, you need to have water, need to have sodium, all together.
All the things. But yeah, she is, and you can see it in her face. I think she had made a comment about her face being so lean, but she trains really hard, puts a ton of training videos out here too. I appreciate that so much. So these are obviously women that we want to encourage you to follow and support as well. Just because, I mean, these are the women of the IFBB and the NPC, and they're all doing their thing in their own way. So, all right, Sarah, who's next?
Absolutely. So I think we'll look at maybe who was number 2 last year was Lorelei.
Always, let's see, LAU. Is that always? Yeah. And I don't know, is it Lorelei or Laura?
I always say Laura Lee, but you said Lorelei, so I'm not sure.
I think of Laura Lee from Gilmore Girls, and I think that's wrong. I think it's Lorelei, and her last name is actually Chapados, which I often shorten it just because of her Instagram. So she's still one of my favorite looks for sure. Tons of muscle and beautiful stage presence is very beautiful. And again, tons of training videos, which I can appreciate only because, Sarah, you remember a couple of years ago in the bikini videos, and I'm sure they're out there. I just don't follow those accounts. The people that post the ridiculous bikini training videos that are like all band stuff and whatnot. Like these are girls that are working hard. This muscle is all earned.
And I think I still have her in the number 2 spot because she also won she won a lot of big shows this year already. She won obviously the Arnold and then the New York Pro and Pittsburgh as well. Mm-hmm. So where she beat Issa, Janet, Ashley in those shows.
Yeah.
So, those were earlier this year, but kind of going off odds here, I would say I'm still going to put her in second.
Yeah. let's talk about Issa a little bit because she's kind of a wild card, has been everything.
Yeah, I would say from here on, I have no placings, just
Yeah, beautiful. But she has been in the past like ridiculously an outlier as being too lean and too hard. And then maybe
and then
comes
she came in too big and too like a little too soft,
yep,
you know, and it was like, ooh, like
yeah. So she's had some trouble just kind of figuring out. I mean, look at the waist ratio is just crazy. It's just
I don't
crazy.
know. I don't see her waist. What do you mean?
Yes, her invisible
Yeah. No,
waist.
she has crazy ratios. Again, like a lot of muscle. Like I love her look personally.
Yeah,
It's wild. And
yeah,
she's definitely made a lot of improvements, at least, you know, from what you can see on on Instagram and whatnot. So
yeah.
it'll be cool to see them all together.
I think she is one of these girls that has the does like the vacuums and can like separate her abs and do all that crazy. I've seen a couple of people that are able to do that with their abs, like literally flex the muscles individually. It's pretty I mean, that ab control is everything when you're standing up on stage. I mean, how many people have you seen step on stage and they're flax? You know what I mean? Like everything is like flex, lax. They're
Yeah.
like the abs are just like flax is a combination of lax and not flexed.
Just like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But still one of my favorites. I think 2 years ago probably was when I first noticed her. And and like that was when she had that harder look. And I really wanted her to win. I really liked that she had so much muscle on her. I thought, let's step it up here,
Yeah.
bikini.
2019 is when she won the Olympia, and then 2020 came down to sixth place.
Okay. Oh, she did win an Olympia.
Yeah, yeah. And then 21, she moved back up to fifth.
Okay. What was the last one that Janet won? Let's go to Janet.
Janet, I think, competed. Okay, so she won the Olympia last year, and I'm trying to remember when she competed last.
Wait, wait, Janet won the Olympia last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, 2 years ago.
okay.
2020 to 21 is all a blur.
Okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, because last year it was
Last year it was Jen. Yeah, 2020, Janet won. Then she retired,
yeah.
but didn't. And she came in third at Pittsburgh this year.
Okay. Yeah. So very, very lean again. Like she's leaner than she's ever been.
Yeah.
So like you said, I think this is a trend. I want people to understand too the difference between like a leaner body will look like it's more muscular. So
Right.
this may not be that, like, I mean, this is why like Issa was such a chameleon, because it's hard to tell without knowing actual percentages of lean mass and weight, body weight, how much muscle she actually did put on. It could have been just like, yeah, like a softening by adding a little bit more body fat to cover that. So we don't know exactly if the girls are actually getting bigger or if they're just promoting something that's a little bit leaner. And right now, everybody looks very lean in their pictures, and we don't know if that is something that they're going to soften up a little bit before
Right. Like how much are they? Yeah. How depleted are they? Because they are very depleted, but
yes. Yeah. But like I said before, I feel like every category is now about getting virtually all of the body fat off. Like they don't,
yeah.
you know, it's just a matter of if you have more muscle, things are going to be more dug out. Then, you know, you're going to see that a lot more on a women's physique competitor than you are on a bikini competitor. But she's beautiful.
So I think she'll probably still be in the top six, Janet.
Yeah. So Janet, I want to say too, though, probably has the least amount of muscle of everyone that we're talking about.
Agreed. Yeah.
She's still the lesser glutes and the more of a beach body. She does a lot of modeling and stuff too, so I think that's probably important to her to not be too ridiculous. Sarah's like,
Yeah. And then the other two that I have here, my top 6 would be Maureen. Last name escaping me. MAU.
it's is it de Black? Yeah.
Yeah, she's Norwegian.
Maureen Blanquisco.
She is very petite, but a lot of muscle too.
Yeah, which is when you're, and some of these other girls are a little bit taller, like 5'5" and up. So
Yeah,
yeah, which is tall for bodybuilding, for people to not realize this, because a lot of the especially like more muscular categories like women's physique, a lot of these girls are 5'2". Yeah, 5'2" and under, which is why they look more compact and look like they have more muscle. So yeah, she's this was a video.
She doesn't have a lot posted.
No.
But she's placed well in the past. And she's got the look, very good posing, very good stage presence.
You're right.
You know what, who is maybe a more of a dark horse, if you want to look her up, who I feel like has a similar look to her, is of Ivana, is her name. You search, let me look up last name.
Okay. What I was going to say about Maureen is that she has more of an hourglass shape and it's less slender.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happens again when you're shorter. So would you say
Ivana, Ivanna Escandar. She's from Spain. Yeah. Second one, Ivy. She's won a lot of shows recently.
Nice. So this is her first Olympia, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing those like proportions. This is like, it's kind of funny to me how, you get women wanting to get into competing and they usually go for like, start at the least muscular, and this is still a physique that takes years to create.
Totally.
Yeah, like you're not just gonna, like I said, none of the categories, I mean, even men's physique used to be something that your average beach body could just hop in and like, ooh, I have abs, and it's like, no, now you have to have ridiculous V taper and a good amount of muscle. Like, yeah, especially once you get into the upper categories. When's the last time that you've been to like a local
I was actually just at NPC Nationals in Orlando.
Okay.
And yeah, like the conditioning, like in bikini, like you gotta be pretty much to that striated level almost.
So even on the national level, what about Ashley? Do you think?
Yeah, I think she'll probably be in that top 6 as well. I have her in my, if I am placing people, I have her over Janet.
Oh, you know who else I wanted to talk about? I have a bunny over here. I wanted to talk about Ashley. I wanted to talk about who is it who came back from
oh my God. I know
yeah,
exactly who you're talking about.
yeah, we have to talk.
And I really like her. Why?
Yeah. We're both like, and I want to pull up Erin Stern as well, just because of her. India Paulino.
Yes, yes.
Right. So let's talk about Ashley a minute. Ashley has been in this the longest, right? Like,
yeah, she's.
Do you know the history? When did she win?
If you can keep scrolling and talking, I can look it up, but I want to say like 2015.
Okay. Oh, here's like a before and after. So 2011. Oh, this is like her.
That might have been 2015, might have been,
I think you're right.
that might have been Courtney, but let me look it up.
It was either 2015 or 2016 because this is what's coming up on her timeline.
Yeah,
So
2015 was Ashley. Let's see if that was
yeah.
2015, 2014. She
Yeah.
won the Olympia, and 2013.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, she turned pro in 2012.
Okay.
And it was 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
16, she came down to fourth place.
What do you think booted her out? Who won in 20? What did she get to fourth place? Who won?
Courtney.
Courtney.
Courtney King won in that 2016.
And then she quit after she was not like in.
Yeah, she just did the Arnold that year.
Okay. Yeah, and now she married to Christopher Bumstead. I think they're
Yeah.
they're
I
married.
knew they just got engaged. I don't know if they're married yet.
Oh, sorry. You kind of broke up. Say it again.
I know they're engaged. I don't know if they are married though.
Yeah. And now she's just like training to look awesome and not to step on stage, I don't think. So
Yeah, she talks a lot about like her just like, really just focusing on her health, like, as a whole, kind of repairing some of the, inevitable like damage from, competing like that. And I think, things are different then too. Like coaches are different now. Like I think there's smart ways of approaching competing like that.
yeah, I think people didn't evaluate where you were coming from. They would just coach would just be like, hey, you're gonna do an 800 calorie diet of tilapia and asparagus for the next 12 to 16 weeks. And that would be it. Like, I know this exactly is what it was like about probably 8-10 years ago with smaller competitors. They just didn't understand, like, so you could have a girl who was normally eating 3,000 calories, and instead of them saying, hey, we'll start you off at 2,500 and then see how you are progressing until you plateau, they would just like 1,200 calorie, 1,100, 1,000 calorie diet of like no carbs. So yeah, the metabolic damage thing, the thyroid problems and everything else was huge back then. A lot of girls rebounded horribly from, and that's where like a lot of it got such a bad rap. But like you said, we have so many healthier ways. Like you still delve into the unhealthy those last 6 weeks, 4 weeks or whatever, but it definitely can be done in a much healthier manner. So India.
Yeah, I actually first saw her in 2018. That was like my first pro show ever. I went to the Tampa Pro, and I think she came like second or third.
Okay.
Yeah, I love her look too. She's older, so a lot of muscle.
Yep. And she took like 5 years off, had a baby, I believe, right?
Yeah, I know. So I think trying to remember when she competed in 2018 and then didn't compete again until this year.
Okay. Did she have a child? I thought she
Yeah, but I can't remember timeline. I don't know how old he is. I don't know if
Okay.
she has a picture there.
Wait, did you see one?
No.
I see a puppy.
I know. I see a very pretty Malinois.
Sarah's a big fan. Oh yeah, there's a child. There's little boy.
Yeah,
So
he looks older. I mean, he looks like 5, so
yeah. Yeah. And then and then she just decided to come back. You know who one of my favorites of all time has always been? Man, I'm not going to be able to remember her name. She was blonde and she was way like too muscular almost all the time. she is blonde with like it was black under, and also it's something that to notice, I think, with bikini competitors, they don't really like them to be blonde. Like
It doesn't pop as well, I think, on stage or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know who I do love who's a blonde is Ashlyn. Last names escape me.
Is it Lyn? Ashlyn. Yeah. Is it Russo?
No.
Ashlyn. I don't know.
Oh, Little, Ashlyn Little. And she's little. She's like 5'1".
Ashlyn, oops. Wait. Is it is this
Maybe
her?
that one?
Wow. Or we're just pulling up
Nope.
we're just, I don't know what her we're just pulling up like random people. Hi, you're semi-famous now. I don't know. I wish I could remember. I can't remember what
I can't find her now either. What the heck? I don't know.
I don't know. No, I'm renting it. Oh,
Maybe
here's
your account got blocked or something.
maybe. I don't know. Sometimes people have things that are like it's not even their name. And so then like you can't search them and it's difficult to find. But I wanted to also plug that if you are looking to purchase the pay-per-view, go to the Mr. Olympia LLC. It says tap the bio here, and then you can go to Olympia. I think it was I looked at this last night. Go to Olympia TV. No, that wasn't it. You go to, maybe it's the Mr. Olympia .com. And then, yes, and then it will have your, I believe this is where you can buy your pay-per-view. I could be wrong. Pay-per-view right here. So you would go there. It's like, it's $69.
You get the whole week.
Yes.
Anytime.
Yes. And I think you can also watch a couple of the past ones as well. So if you wanted to look back, you totally could do that. But so don't buy the amateur package. You want to buy the one that says Olympia 2022. And yeah, it's $69. It's a great purchase. I'm sure they'll be on like almost all day because because there's 4
It starts at 9. Yep.
Yeah, Sarah, tell us a little bit. You had looked at some of the so who's Friday and who's Saturday? Do you still have that up?
I can if you give me 1 second.
Okay.
Friday is definitely fitness figure, men's 212, women's physique, Miss Olympia, so that's going to be women's bodybuilding and wellness.
Okay.
And then finals, you're going to have the 212, fitness, figure, women's physique, women's bodybuilding, wellness, and then pre-judging for Mr. Olympia. So the men's bodybuilders, they won't go on probably till like 9, 8:39.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and it usually it usually goes like finals and stuff will go well into the night.
Yeah, and this is also West Coast time. So
yeah,
I just realized that. It's Vegas, so it's 6 their time. Yeah.
That's right. That is a good point because that's why I was thinking, why was I watching men's bodybuilding to see who won at like 1 o'clock in the morning? But that was why.
I'm like, why did I stay up late before? Oh yeah.
Yep, that's what I was wondering too. All right. Well, this is awesome. And I really appreciate your time, Sarah, and just being able to cover some of the bikini girls. I know you love talking about it because, I mean, obviously, as one of the competitors, that's what you follow. So,
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many. Like, we only talked about a few because I mean that top 10 is going to be crazy. So
yeah, it'll be really great to see like the outcome. It'll be really fun to watch the outcome. And it's funny, you said you would have been nervous if you were stepping up on stage, but I bet you that some of these girls are just just
they're so excited. You know,
yeah,
a lot of them too, like just being there. You know,
yeah, and no pressure because there's who knows what's going to happen, right?
you're already at the Olympia.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening and watching to another episode of the Women's Fittest that we're able to cover the women's bodybuilding and the women's bikini. Sarah, if people want to find you, where can they find you and follow you? I think you froze. Oh, I got you. Where can they find you if they want to follow you?
Sorry, I definitely froze. My Instagram handle is at Sarah Ford Bishop. All my links are there, sarahbishopfitness.com.
Yep.
And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely have you. I love chatting with you and we both are super passionate about this sport. So it's always a good time. Hey, you guys, you can follow the podcast at the Women's Fittest on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at buffcake22. Get the pay-per-view. It's totally worthwhile and it gives you a really great window into what you're stepping into if you want to get into the sport of competing. This is a great, it's not I wouldn't say a great place to start because you should start something local, but it is a great, just window into the elite level of athletes that are produced when people get involved in the sport of bodybuilding. So remember that healthy looks different on everybody. Have a great day.